John stood on the balcony of the orbital station and tried to calm his pulse as the transport ship drifted into position. The vessel moved with a quiet grace that made the vastness of space feel strangely peaceful. Yet his thoughts were anything but calm. Hours earlier, a message had arrived from the royal chamber of the most powerful ruler in the known sectors. The message carried an invitation and a command woven into one. The Queen of the Talari wanted to see him. No one explained why. No one dared ask. Now the time had come for him to board the ship and discover the truth. Behind an order that had shaken him more than any battle he had ever faced, he stepped inside the vessel and sat in the seat the attendants pointed to. The ship folded its wings and surged forward into the dark stretch of space. John stared out the window and tried to imagine what could possibly demand the presence of a human engineer from a modest lunar colony. His record noted bravery, quick thinking, and loyalty during difficult campaigns. Still, those traits hardly seemed enough to earn the direct attention of a monarch known across the galaxy for strength and command. He whispered a quiet hope that he would return home safely. The hum of the ship offered no promised dot. After a short flight, the vessel descended through a shimmering veil of light that marked the boundaries of the Talare royal domain. The capital world glowed with polished spires and radiant metal fields that reflected the brightness of nearby stars. Everything felt alive. Energy pulsed through the towers as though they breathed in harmony with the planet. The landing platform stretched out like a silver path, welcoming those brave enough to walk it. John stepped onto the ground and felt a faint tremor rise through his boots. The moment held weight. The attendants led him into a corridor filled with gentle arcs of light that shifted in color with each step he took. Their warmth steadied his nerves. John entered a grand chamber lined with stones that shimmered like frozen waves. The air held a soft scent of minerals and light. At the far end of the chamber, the queen stood tall beneath a glowing crest that marked her lineage. Her robe was woven with thin bands of metal that flowed like liquid silver. Her presence filled the room with calm strength. She lifted her gaze toward John, as though she had been expecting him since the beginning of time. He approached with measured steps and bowed. The queen raised a hand and spoke in a voice that carried authority yet held compassion. She addressed him by name and thanked him for coming. Her tone made him feel as though she valued his presence, even before he understood why he had been summoned. She explained that the Talare people had watched the humans for many cycles. They had seen their rise, their trials, and their ability to adapt. The humans remained young compared to other civilizations, yet they achieved remarkable feats through determination and unity. The queen paused, allowing her words to flow through the chamber. She then revealed the reason for his summons. A threat beyond their borders had grown in silence. A fleet from an unknown region had begun to move with intent that suggested conflict. Their formations were unusual, and their technology surpassed anything previously recorded. The Talari needed someone who could think outside the patterns established by long traditions. They needed an engineer whose creativity and courage could reshape the outcome of what approached. Their intelligence identified John as a candidate whose work showed unique skill in merging human designs with foreign technology. The queen asked if he would accept the task of examining captured fragments of the unknown fleet and discovering how to counter them. John felt shock rush through him. He had expected a diplomatic request or perhaps a technical challenge, but this carried a weight far beyond anything he had faced. Yet something deeper stirred within him. He remembered the long nights in the workshop, the problems he solved that others avoided, the belief that innovation thrived in pressure. He met the queen's gaze and accepted the task with steady conviction. The queen guided him to a chamber beneath the palace. Inside rested fragments of dark metal that seemed to absorb the light. Strange patterns traced across their surfaces like organic veins. John felt a tingling sensation along his fingertips when he touched the pieces. He studied the fragments with both caution and wonder. The material resisted every known tool except concentrated human plasma cutters. Even then, only thin layers could be removed at a time. John began sketching and testing theories, while Talari scientists observed. They admired his persistence and agility of thought. He moved through ideas with a rhythm that matched the flow of their energy fields. Days passed in intense work. John discovered that the unknown fleet's technology relied on harmonic resonance waves. These waves created protective layers around their vessels that repelled conventional attacks. The resonance shifted in unpredictable patterns that confused tracking systems. However, John identified a narrow weakness in the wave cycle. If energy could be redirected during a brief interval, even a small force could destabilize the shield. He built a prototype device designed to amplify that narrow interval and allow a strike to land at the perfect moment. The device used human engineering merged with Talari crystal structures. The combination created a technology neither civilization could have produced alone. The Queen visited him as he completed the final adjustments. She listened with interest as he explained the device. She praised his innovation and granted him authority to install it aboard a test vessel. John boarded the ship with a crew of Talari pilots and watched as they took position in orbit to activate the device. When the resonance generator began to hum, he held his breath. The power built in smooth waves and then released into a focused arc. The shield of the test target flickered, rippled, and then collapsed. The chamber erupted in steady applause. John exhaled as relief washed over him. Queen summoned him once more and offered him a role as chief strategist in the defense preparations. He accepted. He joined Talari leaders as they formed a united fleet composed of both species. Humans and Talari trained together under strict but supportive guidance. The Queen ensured that each decision balanced strength with honor. John continued to refine the device and taught the crews how to operate it safely. Rumors spread that the unknown fleet might arrive sooner than expected. Still, John focused on the work, trusting that solutions would emerge if hope and unity guided their efforts. When warning signals finally echoed across the capital world, the fleet moved into position. The sky darkened as vessels of unknown design emerged from the void. Their surfaces shimmered like living shadows. John stood aboard the command vessel beside Myra, the Talari pilot assigned to guard him. Her calm focus steadied him. She prepared the crew to follow his instructions. As the unknown ships advanced, John activated the resonance devices. Each human and Talari vessel held one, synchronized through a shared frequency he had established. The combined fleet moved forward in careful formation. The enemy ships unleashed waves of energy that pulsed with strange rhythms. The attacks hit the fleet's shields, sending vibrations through every hull. John adjusted the frequencies to brace for the next wave. The fleet responded with their own charged arcs. The resonance devices amplified the openings in the enemy shields. The first volley struck with focused precision. The shadowy vessels recoiled, their shields flickering. John felt hope grow. The Queen's trust in him gave him strength. The battle expanded across the surrounding space. Talari and human ships weaved through the enemy formations. Every strike used the timing John discovered. The unknown fleet began to falter as their shields collapsed under the coordinated attacks. Some enemy ships withdrew into the void, while others broke apart. A final surge of energy shook the battlefield as the last of their vessels attempted a desperate counterattack. John and Mira worked together to adjust the frequencies one final time. The combined fleet delivered a decisive strike. The remaining enemy ships dissipated into drifting fragments. Silence settled across the command deck. The fleet had prevailed. Myra placed a steady hand on John's shoulder. He felt gratitude and relief intertwine. The Queen appeared on the communication screen and praised both species for their unity and bravery. She gave special recognition to John for his resilience and intelligence. Her voice filled the fleet with warmth. John bowed in respect. After the battle, the Queen invited him back to the palace. She expressed admiration for the way humans approach challenges. She revealed the real reason she had chosen him. Her people had begun to doubt whether unity with other species held value. By summoning a human engineer, she had hoped to spark collaboration. John's efforts exceeded her expectations. Through creativity and resolve, he proved that cooperation could achieve greater strength than isolation. John returned home months later, yet he carried new purpose with him. The alliance between the Talari and humans grew stronger. Shared projects reshaped technology across the sectors. Trade routes expanded. Joint academies opened. The Queen and John continued to exchange messages. Each message reflected mutual respect and hope for future peace. On quiet nights, John looked at the stars and remembered the moment he first stood before the Queen. He remembered the weight of her gaze and the trust she placed in him. He understood now that courage did not arise from fearlessness, but from choosing to rise when others hesitated. He